thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not be all else to me save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, thy presence my life. Be thou my wisdom, and thou my true word. I ever with thee, and thou with me, Lord. Thou my great Father, and I thy true Son. Thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. I greet you with that hymn this evening because of two reasons. As I closed Sunday with the blessing, I asked, may the Lord, something to this effect, guide, keep, bless, preserve you, and be your vision now and always. So the hymn, Be Thou My Vision. I also offer it because it is an ancient Irish hymn, and after all, today is St. Patrick's Day. Now, I could talk for hours about the legends, the myths, the history, details of St. Patrick's life, but breathe a sigh of relief. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to offer a couple of sentences, though, a very brief and thumbnail sketch that doesn't even begin to halfway do service to this great man. St. Patrick, when he came to Ireland, actually for the second time, but this time as a missionary, landed, if you will, at Saul. That's the English pronunciation. That's kind of where the current and his boat took him. He landed at a place called Saul in County Down. There the local chieftain was quickly converted and offered to Patrick a stable, a barn, which would be an outpost, so to speak, for his missionary work. For the next 30 years, roughly, Patrick traveled and ministered in Ireland, returned to Saul there, where he died about 460. The arrangement was that when he died, his corpse would be placed in the back of a cart led by 2 untamed oxen, and wherever they stopped, that is where he would be buried. Well, they stopped about a mile away in what we know as Downpatrick. And so he was buried there. In September of 2018, I had the blessing and privilege of visiting Downpatrick with 21, I think, other folks. We were part of a mission trip at that time. 21, 22 people in total, I think. So there we stopped at Downpatrick, and I was, as I say, blessed and privileged to tour the cathedral there, to gaze upon St. Patrick's cross, to stand at his grave and remember him with reverence. But what I was surprised to find, I don't know how I'd missed it in earlier studies, what I was pleasantly surprised to find was that John Wesley had visited the site 2 different times. First in 1778, 11 years later in 1789, records both in detail in his journal, was quite almost mesmerized by the mystical aura of the place. I found he was there because quotes of his were recorded, one on a plaque on the wall at the top of the hill, others words of his etched in the stone steps at the bottom of the hill. He was very, very impressed by the place. Could not understand in his later visit, 1789, couldn't understand why people had not rebuilt the monastery there, the abbey that had been in ruins. Well, the next year, work was begun. And as I say, in 2018, I was privileged to visit the cathedral which stands there now. Down Cathedral, it's sometimes called, some call it St. Patrick's Cathedral. It's really properly called the Church of the Holy and Undivided Trinity. But as I stood there that day, I was overwhelmed by the feeling of standing in the presence of two such giants of the faith, John Wesley, who had been there, and St. Patrick himself. But then as I thought about it and as I looked around, I realized that I was in the company of other saints, the 21 other people on that trip with me, on that mission trip, working on our souls. I thought, here are 20 or so other folks who are working and striving and trying and praying their best to be the people God wants them to be. And I said a silent prayer for each of them. Well, I mention that to you this St. Patrick's Day, reminding you that there are others who stand in your presence, who are needing, who are wanting, who are longing to see the image of God reflected in you and to hear the words of God witnessed by your life. You may be the closest they ever come to seeing the Christ or hearing the good news. Now, I don't want to scare you with that. And so I will say, you don't need to be John Wesley. You don't need to be St. Patrick. Just be the person that God calls and wants you to be. Riches I need not, nor vain empty praise. Thou mine inheritance, now and always. Thou and thou only, first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure thou Lord. High King of heaven, my victory won. May I reach heaven's joys, bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, O ruler of all. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, O